Hi, everyone. Welcome to Appliance Advisors. I'm Francesco, joined by my co-host, Dennis. Today, we're going to talk about the best pro all-gas ranges. So first, before we dive into really what are the best and the most common brands, let's just talk about what is all-gas compared to dual fuel. So that's kind of where you'll see that typical comparison there.
Yeah, so, certainly all gas is what built the business. I mean, 15, 20 years ago, you couldn't get a dual fuel range. And by dual fuel, we mean an electric oven with a gas top. But an all gas range is what the industry came out with, because that's what they cook in most commercial restaurants. The ranges are all gas. In every commercial restaurant, they're all gas. They may have electric wall ovens or something depending on the setup, but they were all gas ranges. All gas is perfect for folks that obviously the top's the top and they're gas tops, right? But within the oven is the big difference. And within the oven, anyone that bakes, roasts, or I would say roast more than bake. Roast in a gas oven is a more moist heat, tends to be a little more moist. And anyone that broils quite a bit, same thing, it's a little more moist in the broiling, okay? When you get into baking, if you're a big baker, gas is okay with baking. Most of us would be just fine. But if you answered and said, hey, I'm a really big into baking, then you may want to consider an electric oven and a dual fuel range. But I would still say that I think all gas gives you flexibility. And that's why it's still big. You can get all gas ranges that have self-cleaning or don't have self-cleaning. And for some, that's a significant savings. It can be thousands of dollars to opt for one or the other. So there's solid performance, but also the ability to get into a pro range and save a few dollars if those other features don't really speak to you and something you have to have.
And the reason, so going back to the baking a little bit, I think the reason why it's not maybe as good for baking as it is for roasting is that because too, the gas heat tends to be a little heavier. So if you have like a lot of delicate, maybe baking items, and can kind of weigh it down a little bit that way. And then temperature fluctuation, maybe not as precise as you get with an electric oven as you would typically see with a gas oven.
Yeah, the bake elements are more consistent across. It's a more dry heat. And to that end, historically, when you generally do an electric oven versus a gas, you get digital accuracy in the oven. So if you're into baking, that precision of baking temperature is important. So if you need to bake at 330 degrees, well, a gas oven sometimes doesn't give you that ability to get quite so accurate, even in the temperature on the dial or in the interface. I would say this. I always say this because I've lived it. Anyone that has propane is a fuel type, you can certainly do a pro range or a range that has the ability to be converted or ordered ready for liquid propane versus natural gas. Natural gas is a lighter gas. Liquid propane, just in the word, is liquid. It's heavier, right? So I'm very specific to tell people when they're looking at all gas ranges, and if you have liquid propane as the only fuel type, you really want to make sure that baking is not a big thing for you, because I will tell you, liquid propane ranges do not bake well at all. We already talked about a little earlier some of the inconsistencies with gas ovens in terms of baking, but in liquid propane, it's pronounced. That heavier gas really does not just, you'll get brown spots and spots that aren't cooked so well. So we do have some buyer's remorse, and I can tell you personally, I've had one and swapped it out very quickly and went to that dual fuel electric style oven in that one case. So just to know, as we're talking about gas, think about that if you have liquid propane. Make sure you think.
Yeah, that's great. It's a great tip. So now let's talk about some of the brands and kind of some of the most common brands that we see out there. So, there's a lot of brands that obviously, participate in this space, and there's a lot of good brands that you can choose from. So you want to start talking about some of these brands?
I mean, certainly you probably have to start with Wolf. I mean, and we say that it's the number one all gas range we sell. It's an absolute workhorse. They last. They have very little service and repair. So you can't go far into a conversation without addressing Wolf.
Absolutely.
I'll also say, when you think about Wolf, a little longer to innovate. But they don't rush innovation at the cost of serviceability and performance. So they stand that longer test of time. So I think Wolf has to be in there.
Yeah, and like you said, made in America, really reliable, good quality brand. And, they've made a lot of upgrades to their dual fuel ranges for sure, where you see kind of all the new electronics, more power. gas range, I think they'll definitely be making some upgrades there, but, we've talked about the power before. They have a 15,000 BTU burner, which, you compare them maybe to some other pro ranges a little lower, probably as much as you're going to need for pretty much most of what you're doing. The nice thing with them too is the simmer. So if you cook on a low simmer, you can really do that on all their burners with their dual stack burners there too. So they do a really nice job with that flexibility. Yeah. Another brand I'd say that's really common in this space is definitely Thermador. So Thermador, absolutely kind of known for their star burner, where you kind of get that heat in and out of that more closer to the center of the pan, as opposed to that circular burner. Also really good power, 18,000 BTUs kind of across a few different burners. And then as far as their simmer goes, they're going to be more so that extra low on-off simmer. They get really kind of low, but is kind of the burner turns off and on a little bit. So they do it a little bit differently. But I'd say, both Wolf Thermador in that all-gas range, you're really kind of omitting a lot of the electronics, no electronics there. On Thermador, depending if you go to a larger size, you may get a timer, but no self-clean, no timer really on most of those brands.
Correct, yeah, and I mean, Thermador in that price point, has just honestly, it's long in the tooth in terms of that model has been out an awful long time.
Sure.
They're due for a major upgrade. Not that there's anything wrong with it, but I think it's just it's a little tired and just kind of its market strategy and what it's bringing
especially
out
in the oven where it's a single convection, and could definitely do a little upgrade there. Now,
sure.
Let's look at one that's a little bit different, BlueStar.
Yeah, BlueStar, again, you'll hear us talk about it a lot because it's kind of exciting to see a company not come out of nowhere. They're certainly not, they've been around, but kind of continue to innovate. I think that's a great range for a lot of folks. If they're hardcore culinarians, BlueStar, if you do your research, is a strong option because the power of the burners, the high to low simmer, the way they stack the burners and the way they break down. Yeah. So, there was always that old adage of, do you want to bring your sink to your stove? Because a lot of these tops are sailed. So like in a Thermador, in a Wolf or in a Thermador, you can't break down the top itself. You can take the grates out, but the top is the top. So you're cleaning right there in your stove. With the BlueStar, there's ability to take some of those components right out and bring them over to your sink. And as well, I like it for someone that really wants to use this appliance hard and enjoy it and not worry about it. And then might say, hey, in the next 5, 6, 7 years, I'm thinking about potentially selling this place or moving out of it. You can reinvest, get new inserts for the top, and really rebuild this thing to look brand new again. So I think for some, or if someone's really particular and says, I hate, these stoves last a long time, but I hate how they get tired looking. That stove gives you the flexibility of being able to kind of rebuild it and make it look brand new again.
Yeah, definitely. Like you said, with that open burner kind of platform with the heat right through the center there, you're also getting a ton of power, 25,000 BTUs on there, which, you're not going to find really most anywhere else. And they do some cool things just with color and things like that. You can really kind of customize that range there too. Next range is, let's talk about Miele. And Miele also, I think, has some unique advantages here. A different style. You typically when you see these pro ranges, it's kind of that commercial style look. Miele definitely a little bit more contemporary styling there. So it's a unique look in that pro space. But one nice thing that they do give you is they give you the self-clean. They give you a timer on the all-gas. They also give the ability to kind of take all the racks out and put them in the dishwasher safe, which you don't get with a lot of those other ones. Good power as well throughout there, but I think that's another good range to consider as well in that pro space.
I think it's something too to think about. Everyone thinks about Miele, and it is, you said it, and a lot of the photo ops out there tend to show this in a more contemporary, modern look, but I will tell you, it does well in transitional and can carry traditional. It looks great in transitional actually. So certainly don't want to pigeonhole that brand, but yes, perennially being a European German built brand, it does lend itself to a little bit more modern, contemporary feel and flair. But absolutely, you can design that if you like that, and there's a lot of those examples in our stores where it's very transitional and goes great everywhere.
And then let's talk about another brand that we really like and really for a great value in this space too is SKS.
Yeah, so Signature Kitchen Suites. I mean that's a brand. I mean that's coming, and they're kind of doing it. We talk about Thermador. When you think about Thermador 25 years ago, you really didn't think about Thermador. It had been out forever, but it had just been kicked around forever too, kind of dated and whatnot. And they really bought their way into the business. Thermador really did with promotion, and programming, and so on and so forth. SKS certainly isn't doing the gimmicks of giving free stuff away, because at the end of the day, it's what you pay at the end of the day that really matters. But they are absolutely being aggressive in their pricing and come to market strategy with a very, very solid brand. Doing your research, you'll learn quickly that is owned by the parent company, LG, which is the least serviced brand we sell in a commodity space, not even close. So they know how to build quality. And I think now they're really hitting their stride with getting products in that product line that really meet the masses, where initially they launched with a lot of niche product. Now they've really come out with mainline 36-inch 6-burner gas ranges and things like that really are the meat of the pro market.
Yeah, and they do a lot of really nice things too. And you talk about the reliability, 3-year parts and labor warranty right off the bat. They give you that really nice full color digital screen, even in an all-gas range. And then you talk about power in a sealed burner at 23,000 BTUs. I mean, pretty significant power there if that's something that you're looking for too. So
yeah, and then let's be honest, these ranges tend to carry a bigger space. A lot of times, a 36 is the most common size of the pro range. So they tend to carry a space. They have a lot of great bezel lighting and under rail lighting on the front. Definitely. So, listen, part of designing a kitchen is also to have it look beautiful and look nice. And this kind of carries it in some unique ways that are just very subtle, that people come in and say, oh, wow, that's a great looking.
Yeah,
range.
Absolutely. Especially if you're looking for kind of more featured at a really good price point there too. And last brand I think we talk about here today is Monogram.
Yeah. So Monogram, again, these, like all things, there's a cycle of production. And I think Monogram is on the uptick of a production cycle for sure. We've seen a lot of new introductions, and their ranges are slowly going through that production. And I say that because a lot of builders used Monogram as builder spec in the past. And that was a really common thing. And it kind of came out with this perception of, okay, it was a value line and it was just a builder grade line. The products that they're coming out today are really pushing forward into some really great spaces and some cool features. So their AllGas range is really nice. It brings in, its fit, feel, finish is really nice aesthetically, sits well within cabinets. I think the performance is good. You can bring in a gold handle accent, but slight, enough that they put in that mixed metal accent into some of their knob and hardware, but not one that I feel like you're going to tire of.
Right, and not one that's like really in your face there too. They did a nice job of incorporating that. Yeah. Anyone particular that's your favorite right now?
Listen, for the up-and-comer sleeper, it's definitely Signature Kitchen Suites. For the culinarian, I would say the BlueStar is a compelling piece to me. Now, I own a Wolf. And I told you at the beginning that it's kind of the one we have to start with, but it's kind of the one I feel like I have to finish with, because I've had it for 17 years and I haven't had a single issue with it in 17 years. And we use it. We have, 3 teenage kids, and they're tough on things, and it's just held up amazing. Yeah,
absolutely. Well, hard to go against the Wolf there, where it's just, again, made in America, really good build quality. While, they maybe are going to kind of have some different innovation there, they're really consistent about how they do that and making sure that, they're not compromising quality just to throw some new features out there.
What's about that? They might be coming out with some colors, I'm hearing.
Yeah, absolutely.
There's a little teaser.
Yep.
Look in your stores real soon. Wolf with color.
All right, that's all we got for today. Thanks for watching.
And don't forget to follow us on social media for appliance tips and updates from Miele Appliance.
Your feedback is what shapes our series. Like what you saw? Give us a thumbs up, share it with your friends, and drop your thoughts in the comments below. We love hearing from you.
Stay informed and inspired on all your appliance needs. This is Appliance Advisors signing off.